August 26, 2004. The world didn't pause. There was no breaking news banner, no public vigil, just a quiet report. Laura Branigan, once a household name, a Grammy-nominated powerhouse of the 1980s, had died in her sleep at the age of 52. No farewell tour, no media countdown to the end, just silence. But it was a silence that wouldn't last. Because her voice, that voice was never meant to fade quietly. You've heard it, maybe without even knowing. In movie scenes, football arenas, neon-lit clubs, or in the back of your head while driving alone at night. That voice that didn't just hit notes, it shook walls. That voice that sounded like it had nothing left to lose. That voice belonged to a woman the world once screamed for. Gloria! The anthem, the explosion, the breakdown, the celebration, the identity crisis set to a disco beat. But here's the part that still stuns people. The song that made her unforgettable? She almost never recorded it. She almost walked away. The original wasn't even in English. It was a man's song, a pop hit from Italy. And she, Laura Branigan, the struggling artist with too much voice and not enough fame, was supposed to smile, translate it, and sing it sweetly. But that's not what happened. Because Laura didn't just perform music, she possessed it. And when she got her hands on Gloria, she didn't follow instructions. She rewrote the script, literally. She changed the lyrics. She flipped the meaning. She turned a song about a woman into a song by one about desperation, paranoia, pressure, and fame. And in doing so, she created one of the most electrifying performances in pop history. But to understand how that happened, to understand why Laura Branigan screamed like the world was ending, and why millions still feel that scream today, we have to go back, not to her death, but to her beginning. Because Gloria was more than a song. It was her story, and she was singing it before she even knew it. Long before the world knew her name, before the magazine covers and platinum records. Laura Branigan was just a small-town girl with a voice that scared people. She was born on July 3, 1952, in Mount Kisco, New York. Raised in the quiet, wooded suburb of Armonk, she wasn't surrounded by industry connections, agents, or bright lights. There were no child star handlers in her orbit, just a working-class family and a girl who loved to sing. Her father was a builder, her mother, an artist. Together, they raised 5 kids. The house was full, loud, unpredictable. And Laura? Laura had lungs. Even as a child, she'd sing in ways that didn't quite match her age. At 8 years old, her voice carried through the neighborhood like a siren. Neighbors would pause in the middle of mowing their lawns or walking their dogs, glancing around like they were hearing something from a radio. But it was just her, singing through an open window. "You've got a voice on you," her father once said. But where does it all come from? She didn't know. It just came pouring out. But growing up in Armonk, there wasn't exactly a local label looking to discover the next pop diva. She didn't have producers or vocal coaches. She had intuition, passion, and instinct. And those things? They don't always fit inside a small town. By the time Laura reached her teenage years, she wasn't just singing for fun. She was singing to feel alive. While other kids studied for tests or planned their futures, Laura was lying on her bedroom floor, eyes closed, headphones on, dreaming of escape. She was obsessed with singers who bled into their songs. Janis Joplin, Aretha Franklin, Barbra Streisand. Women who didn't just sing, they commanded attention. She wanted that. But she didn't know how to get it. So she did what many artists do when they're told they're too much. She tried something safer. She enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, training to become an actress. She studied monologues and scene work, took notes, memorized scripts. But even in acting class, she couldn't stop singing. She'd take a line of dialogue and start adding rhythm. Take a dramatic moment and hold it, just a little too long. Her instructors noticed, so did her classmates. "Laura," one teacher said, "I don't think you want to act. I think you want to wail." And that's exactly what she did. Her first major break didn't come through a singing competition or TV audition. It came through a phone call and a man known for whispering his way through entire albums. Leonard Cohen was looking for background vocalists, quiet, supportive voices to fill in the textures behind his brooding lyrics. Laura showed up to the audition and gave him fire. She didn't blend in. She burst out. And instead of rejecting her, Cohen embraced her. She toured with him, performed behind him, studied him. She learned the value of restraint, the power of silence. But every night, standing behind him, she could feel something tightening in her chest. She wanted to step forward, not just be heard, be remembered. "I loved working with Leonard," she later said, "but I knew I wasn't meant to stand in shadows." And soon, the shadows couldn't contain her anymore. The moment came quietly. Laura was handed a cassette. The label on it read, Umberto Tozzi, Gloria. Just a simple name on a plastic shell. No expectations, no warning. She popped it into her stereo and listened. Thumping disco beats, an energetic male vocal, a chorus that repeated the name Gloria like a lover's chant. It was catchy, yes, infectious even. But Laura didn't love it. In fact, she felt something strange, discomfort. "This isn't a song for me," she told her producer. The original lyrics painted Gloria as a romantic mystery, a woman on a pedestal, beautiful, maybe unreachable. It was Tozzi, an Italian man yearning after a woman, calling her name over and over again. But when Laura heard it, she didn't hear romance. She heard something darker. She heard chaos. To her, Gloria wasn't an object of affection. She was a woman on the edge, a woman losing her grip, a woman drowning in expectations and lights and names. She didn't want to be worshipped. She wanted to be saved. Laura told her team, "I want to change the lyrics." That statement was risky. She was still new, still unproven. This was a big opportunity. Why mess with it? But Laura knew her instincts, and she wasn't going to sing someone else's story. So she brought in lyricist Trevor Veitch, and together they transformed the song. Gone were the flirty lines and lovers' calls. In came isolation, disconnection, desperation. "Gloria, I think they got your number. Gloria, are the voices in your head calling? If everybody wants you, why isn't anybody calling?" Suddenly, the song became something more than a catchy hit. It was a story, a warning. A woman slipping into madness, spinning under the spotlight, chased by names, memories, and fame. And Laura? She didn't just sing the lyrics. She was Gloria. When Laura walked into the studio to record Gloria, something shifted. She didn't smile. She didn't rehearse endlessly. She walked up to the mic and unleashed. "Gloria, you're always on the run now?" The first line ripped through the room like a siren. She didn't sing it pretty. She sang it like it hurt. The engineers stopped breathing. The producer stopped pacing. The assistants leaned closer. She was channeling something beyond the notes. "We didn't record a track that day," one producer recalled. "We recorded an eruption." She finished in a couple of takes, and when it was done, no one said a word. Until someone whispered, "That's not a song, that's an exorcism." Despite what happened in the studio, despite the chills, the voice, the transformation, the label wasn't sold. It's too dramatic. Radio doesn't want women screaming? Can't she tone it down? They didn't understand. They wanted marketable, predictable, polished. But Laura had delivered raw, unfiltered power. And power, especially from a woman in the early 80s, made people uncomfortable. Still, the song made its way to a few DJs, one in Chicago, one in Jersey, another in Miami. They played it late at night, on a whim, just to test it. And what happened next? Nobody could have predicted. First, it was one request, then 5. Then the switchboards lit up. "Who is that? Play that again." That voice. In Chicago, Gloria went from late-night experiment to prime-time demand. Stations couldn't keep up. Requests poured in hourly. Then came New York, then Los Angeles, then overseas. Billboard watched the numbers. Laura's Gloria debuted on the charts, then climbed, and climbed, and climbed. Number 2 on the Billboard. Hot 100. 36 weeks on the chart. Millions of copies sold. Suddenly, the woman they said was too loud was everywhere. With success came the flood. TV appearances, interviews, tours. But something strange started to happen. Everywhere Laura went, people screamed her song, not her name. "Gloria!" She smiled. She waved. She performed. But deep down she wondered, do they see me or just the character? She tried to move on, to evolve. She released Solitaire, Self-Control, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? All hits, all emotional, all brilliant. But the industry didn't want evolution. They wanted another Gloria. And Laura? She was growing tired of chasing a ghost. In the early 1990s, Laura stepped away. Her husband, Larry Krutek, was diagnosed with cancer. She canceled everything. "He was more important than my career," she said simply. She became his full-time caregiver, watched him fade. When he died in 1996, she was devastated, and she never fully came back. No world tour, no big return. She withdrew, grieved, and waited for a moment. That never came. In 2004, whispers emerged. Laura was preparing a comeback. New songs, rehearsals, a documentary. She was ready. But then, the silence returned. On August 26th, she passed away suddenly from a brain aneurysm. She was 52 years old. No warning, no goodbye, just stillness. And then, the music returned. In 2019, something strange happened. The St. Louis Blues NHL team needed a win song. A DJ played Gloria. The team won. They played it again. They won again. Suddenly, Gloria became the team's rally cry. They went all the way to the Stanley Cup and won it all. Laura's voice blasted through stadiums. She was back, 15 years after her death. New fans discovered her. Streams exploded. YouTube flooded with comments. "I've never heard this. What a voice. Who is she?" She was Laura Branigan, and she was never really gone. Gloria wasn't just a song. It was a cry, a warning, a prophecy. It was about a woman who couldn't escape her own name, who tried to hold it together while the world chased after her. It was chaos, glory, and heartbreak, packed into 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And Laura didn't just sing it, she lived it. "Gloria, don't you think you're fallen?" She did, but she rose again. In our speakers, our memories, our bones. Laura Branigan didn't get the goodbye she deserved, but her voice got immortality.